How's it going, everybody? It's Bug here from Spooky Pinball, and today we are going to be going over how to install your new topper. So there's a few steps to this. You're going to be removing the old topper, updating your code, and of course installing your new topper and hooking up those cables. So without further ado, let's get started. Now you have to make sure you're running the latest code before you can use the new topper. If you're on an older version of code and you hook up the topper to it, it's not going to work right. So make sure you're on the latest code and go ahead and update your game. Alright, so the first step in this whole process is going to be to remove your original topper. So to start with that, we're simply going to open our display and take out the back glass. And then after your back glass is out, you're going to be unplugging and unrunning this one cable that goes down to your Pico board. So from your original topper, there's one cable. We're going to unplug that. Now it is the topmost plug on your Pico board here. So we're going to unplug that, and then you'll see now that I'm just going to run it through all these loops in the head and out of the head. So we'll do that. Alright, and then from here, you're just going to be unscrewing the topper from your head. So to unscrew your topper, you just have 4 screws. I'm using a drill and a 1/4-inch drive to get them out. There is 2 in the front and 2 in the back. So we're just going to jump in here, start taking those out. I like to use the speakers for my magnets so I don't lose the screws. You are going to need those screws to install your new topper. So don't lose them. This might be a good time to dust off the top of your game. It's probably been a while since you've been up here, so. Alright, and that's your last one. So with that, we've unrun the cable, we've unscrewed the old topper. We're able to just simply take it off. Alright, now that you have your old topper removed and you've unboxed your lovely new topper here, what I want you to do next is go ahead and unwind all of the cables in the back so they're nice and flowing like this. And we're going to get ready to secure this thing down on top of the head. Alright, so I'm going to set this down on top of the head. And I'm going to set it down just a little bit more forward than it's obviously going to be mounted, because we're going to go ahead and run these cables first before we secure this down. Alright, so for running our cables, we're going to do it in a specific order. We're going to start with the gray cable because it has the largest end. So we're going to get that run through the hole that's in your head first. Just go ahead, run it all the way on down. You know, we're going to get it organized inside later. So we'll just run it down through here for now. Following the gray cable, we're going to do the black cable. And then finally, after that cable, we will do the red cable. Almost there. They're long. Alright, last one here. Get that guy, run down through there. Just like that. Alright, so now that you have the cables run through, just go ahead and pull them out like this for now. We're not worried about hooking them up yet or anything. We're first going to be setting our topper into its proper place. Now you have to run the cables before you can do this because the topper will sit over top the hole that the cables get run through. So now that we have our cables run through, we can begin sliding our topper back into the correct and original position and lining it up over top our holes, which we now have. So the topper is seated exactly where the original one was. There will be 3 holes that you can see the original mount points from. Now there is also additional holes for you to get some more support for it if you wanted to include some extra screws in it. The 3 is honestly going to be fine though. So I'm going to go ahead and secure those down now. Some would say snug as a bug. Okay, so now we are ready to actually begin hooking up the cables to the topper. So we're going to start with our red cable here. Now, when you go and hook this up, I strongly recommend, running it back through the loops, kind of zip tying it up, keeping it nice and tidy. For the sake of the video and showing you guys how to hook this up, I'm just gonna go ahead and start plugging things in. So if you wanna come in here, I'll show you exactly where this guy goes. Right back to the same position as earlier where you unplugged that cable, the very top spot of the Pico board. Make sure when you plug this in that you're in line with your 3 pinholes there, because you can plug it in off and be missing by one. So just make sure you're plugged in nice and evenly on those 3 pinholes. Okay, so next, to hook these last 2 cables up, you're going to need the other hardware that was in that little baggie that came in your topper box as well. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this, you're leaving everything as it was. You're going to take the black USB-C cable, you're going to go ahead and plug that in to the gray guy right here. Just like that. Okay, and now you're going to take the gray USB cable, and you can plug that into any one of these 3 USB ports here. It does not matter which one. So just go ahead and plug that in. Okay, so you have those 2 cables plugged into this now. So you're just going to be taking the USB and the HDMI cables, and you're going to be plugging them into the computer up here. So I will start with the HDMI cable. We're going to plug that in at the top here, right next to your other HDMI cable. And then you just simply have the USB cable left, and you're going to plug that in right here. Okay, so that is your 3 cables hooked up into the head. Like I said before, you should definitely run the cables, through the D-loops or zip tie it up in some way. If you leave it in front of the back box lights here, it's gonna leave a terrible shadow behind your back glass, which you don't want. So run them nice and clean before you plug these in. This was just to show you guys how to hook the cables up. So at this point, we have all the cables hooked up. We have the back glass back in, our display panel back up. As you can see, our topper is on. So at this point, you are set, you're good to go to enjoy your new topper.